everybody. This is Patrick Boren, and I've got an update today. More of kind of looking at what's going on because Marchand Ourand, episode 85, Why Adam Silver's So Happy, in this podcast, they discuss some of the TV things and some of the new TV things that are coming down, and basically why, again, the focus here for me is why is the PAC really going to be having trouble. Andrew Marchand asked, why was the NFL Network down this year in terms of Nielsen? Do you have a take on why NFL Network went down and ABC ESPN went up? Well, John Ourand answers that, yeah, most people were watching ESPN followed by ABC and then the NFL Network. NFL Network was the only one that showed a viewership decrease from last year. I don't have an actual reason for that, but I am looking at single sports channels like MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, and NBA TV. They're getting hurt by this cord-cutting trend worse than these other channels like ESPN that's tied to ABC and part of the Disney bundle. So they have much more leverage there, where FS1 is tied to Fox Broadcast Network and Fox News and adds a lot more leverage there. So right here, he's talking about the NFL Network and why it went down. But what I wanted to demonstrate here was they're showing the strength of the ESPN because it's tied to the Disney bundle. So in other words, when you go and you decide to get the Disney bundle, ESPN comes with that. ESPN Plus comes with that. So you can see, because of that relationship, more people will have the channel. Same thing with Fox. They've got, a lot of exposure, and because of that, they have more leverage. John Ourand continues, one thing I want to take a look at is this to see the number of homes that the NFL and decrease over the last year by the same percentage that the viewership did, because that might be a pretty quick and easy answer. So topic 3, John Ourand. Topic 3, Andrew, he says to Andrew Marchand, last week on this pod, we spent a lot of time talking about ESPN and the layoffs. That hit ESPN. We talked about Mike Solstice. We talked about the head communications executive over there. We talked about Russell Wolf, who's been there for a long time, and he ran ESPN Plus for a long time. After we taped our pod, some more names came out that hit one specific part of their business. Why don't you take that? Andrew Marchand replied, yeah, we've talked about it and I've written about it. Just the de-emphasis on ESPN radio, even though I gave them props for the coverage of the draft. So I'm going to skip a lot of what he talks about as why ESPN has been doing the layoffs on the radio side and they're changed the audio. So he says up here, he says, I think looking back, when you look at the local sites, which I was part of, and what's gone on with The Athletic, for example, I think they would have been better positioned if they said, what if we were going to have businesses making 10, 20 million? Let's add those singles and doubles up, using a baseball symbol there. Let's add those singles and doubles up to make up for what ended up being cord cutting, which was a couple billion a month, or whatever that was, and now it's a little less than $1 billion a month in terms of cable fees. And that's probably going down. It would be better to have those doubles and singles. For radio, that was tough to see in terms of it got hit pretty hard. John Ourand responded, I just want to emphasize this one more time. We're going to be talking about this again in 1 month. In June, there's another round of layoffs. The idea that that is ESPN, spreading this across several months is just still something that makes me scratch my head, Andrew. Andrew Marchand then goes on to another subject, the Phoenix Suns deal and the local broadcast rights. John, you're all over that story. What's your take on this, and what does it mean for the future? So John Ourand responded, my take on this, Andrew, is that Semaphore Media was talking about this deal. This is a deal that went well beyond the local market and went well beyond sports media. Gray Television and Kiswee are going to share the rights and broadcast Sun games over broadcast TV and stream them on the Sun's and Mercury's websites as well as their app. This is the first move that a team has made to go away from an RSN, that's a regional sports network. It seems like a really big deal. First of all, it's good to be a billionaire, and if you have a billionaire owner that can say no to the next 2 years of rights fees that Diamond Sports would have paid, or whatever RSN, again, Regional Sports Network, is in that market, would have paid them, that a lot of other teamos really want to have. To me, everything that Rob Manfred and Adam Silver have been saying about RSNs, it's Regional Sports Networks, moving forward is going to look like what this deal is. It says nothing is going to be exclusive. Gray Television bought the rights for their stations and the Arizona markets. They're going to share those rights also with Kiswi, which is going to stream them via the website and the app. I bet you that it's non-exclusive to such an extent that they can also sell them to in 2025 to ESPN, to ESPN Plus, or Turner for Max, or NBC for Peacock. The big takeaway that people should take away from this is that rights locally are going to be non-exclusive, so you'll be able to see this in a lot more places. Great for viewership, great for exposure. However, he says the revenue coming into those teams is going to drop dramatically. So this is the two parts of this whole thing that I wanted to look at. One is for exposure, ESPN, ABC, and Fox are the key partners you want to have. So any PAC deal that doesn't include those, and Fox has already said they're out, ESPN is coming in, but they're coming in at a really lower value. And so it is my belief that when Sikkim 365 reported last week that Apple TV and ESPN will probably be the final media rights deal that the PAC is going to kind of then have to delve into further. Means by that, what I'm talking about is the PAC, even though they come to an agreement, hey, this is the best offer of the offers, if there is such a thing, at that point, the PAC still has to figure out, number one, how many teams are willing to sign such a media rights agreement that is going to be 80% streaming, and number two, how many teams are going to be willing to take an unequal revenue share. So those are a couple of things that are really, it's real hard to see the PAC coming to an agreement. There's so many things lined up against them right now. And I'm going to link this article, this podcast in my thing here. But I want you guys to take a look at what they're really saying. This whole local market stuff, that's great for exposure. It sucks for revenue. It does. It sucks for revenue. So the idea that college sports would take this on is probably not going to happen. We don't have billionaire owners. These are schools. So, I don't know how the billionaire owner is going to take the hit. I'm not sure how he gets away with that because obviously media partners that is, are not going to want to partner with a guy that's showing his stuff locally to everybody because the local audience is the biggest audience. If you're selling that for pennies on the dollar to the local Gray Television and Kiswi in this case, then don't expect a whole lot of revenue. Because now the big partners who would pay you more are not going to want to join you to broadcast this in other locations where the local fan base is way less. At any rate, there's a lot of problems in the media world. ESPN is coming up with even more layoffs here in June. These are things that are going to affect the PAC media rights. These are things that still affect. Now, as we stated before, the TV shelf space for the PAC regarding real exposure is very limited. So the fact that Amazon wants maybe one game a week, Apple TV wants everything, and then will sell some to ESPN means 80% Apple, 20% ESPN. And even that 20% ESPN, I'm not sure that's all linear. And then when you get that, the teams that are going to be linear are going to be Oregon and Washington and maybe some Utah and anybody who plays Oregon and Washington, right? I just don't see how this works. I don't see I'm not Spencer McLaughlin. I'm not smoking the pipe, brother. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. So that's where we are today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, if I hear anything new, I'll come up with it and share it. But I don't believe anything substantive will happen until at least May the second week, maybe May 18th time frame. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I know everybody's kind of wondering what's going on, why it's so quiet, but it's so quiet because the PAC still does not have any solid media rights offerings. It's just a mess. So we'll see. I appreciate you guys listening. Please smash the like and subscribe if you like these things, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Big 12 open for business.
There is no doubt the Big 12 is open for business. We will leave no stone unturned to drive value for the conference.